G'day guys, it's Tim Guest here. Just wanted to jump on the Facebook Live to reveal everything that people have been sharing about the best money advice that they've ever been given. Before we get into that, just really wanted to express my gratitude. I think at the moment we've got something like 4,000 views on the Facebook Live that we did on Tuesday. Me sharing the best money advice that I've ever been given, and of course the amount of comments and likes and loves, it's just really been fantastic. So I just really want to say I really appreciate everyone's feedback. It's what makes these Facebook Lives so valuable. And you know what we wanted to really do this week was actually throw it out to the community and start hearing from you guys what the best money advice was that you'd ever received. And while we received lots of really, really great tips, probably the theme that really run through a lot of people was with regards to paying yourself first, or certainly around structures around savings. So paying yourself first, and this was, when it came down to my mentor, this was actually one of the first things that my mentor ever told me. Pay yourself first. Now, those terms, pay yourself first, a lot of people are very familiar with those terms. And not only are people familiar with those terms, but a lot of us have heard it. This is not new stuff. It's not something that people don't know of. Pay yourself first, though. When I say pay yourself first, though, the first question you might want to ask yourself is, well, what do you think I'm talking about? Now, the most common response that I get from people when I say pay yourself first is we're referring to saving. Now, I think it's really important to consider, is there a difference between paying yourself first and saving? And I actually think that paying yourself first and saving are almost completely the opposite. So let's just have a little bit of a think about what people are talking about when it comes to saving. So I've got a slide up on the screen there with regards to paying yourself first. So the thing that I wanted to talk us through, like I said, was with regards to savings. So let's just look at traditionally how we're taught to save. So for most people, what happens is we go out, we go to work, we earn our income. Of course, the tax man is going to come and take their share first. Then what we're going to do is pay all our bills and pay all our living expenses. And then the thing that we tend to do is promise ourselves that we're going to save what's left over. But of course, the question that you might want to ask yourself is, how's that been working out for everyone? And the answer is, of course, not very well. I mean, this is what people have been trying to do for years. When paying yourself first, and the reason why paying yourself first differs from savings is that this actually becomes the formula for wealth creation. So, obviously I've got up on the screen there, incomes minus your savings then equals your expenses. Now, it's a little bit more complicated than that. The first thing that most people are going to have to do if they're committed to paying themselves first is they're going to have a clear picture about what's coming out and what's going in. Okay, sit down, do yourself a budget. On nearly every bank website there's a budget planner. Once you sit down and do your budget, you'll then get an idea about what is the surplus or what is the leftover money. However, I think it's also very appropriate to then pick a figure that is quite conservative, because look, if that was the real way that your money was coming in and coming out, you'd probably have a hell of a lot of money at the end of every single week. But the reality is that we don't. Many times we just don't really know where that extra money is going. So once you can sit down, now that you've got a real good insight into the reality of your cash flow and your money coming in and out, determine what is a figure that you can conservatively afford to pay yourself first. The key about paying yourself first, though, is that money comes out first. Now that seems, that sounds a lot more simpler than it really is. I think probably the biggest key to having this actually work is making sure that you've got a forced savings in plan. Now, not a lot of people will realise, but most of your employers out there will actually have no problems paying you into multiple accounts. So it's very easy for them to set up from a payroll point of view. You could go and see your employer, ask them to pay that certain amount every single week into a different account. Of course, it might be very helpful also not to have maybe an ATM card linked to that account. It may also be beneficial not to have it even on your internet banking profile. If it's too easy, we might raid that account from time to time and obviously kill ourselves. So paying yourself first, with all the thousands of people that I've trained over, I've been doing this for 18, 19 years now. Probably the biggest thing that I see sticking out is that while this is a very simple concept, most people don't ever do it. Even people that are committed to building their wealth, even people that are committing to investing, never really get those structures set up in place. And this is where everyone always falls down. In my experience, I would have to say that probably 80 to 90% of people that actually get this structure set up and stick with it over the long run hit their financial goals. So while it's one of the most simplest concepts that there are out there, it's probably one of the most important one, and probably the single one that most people overlook. So, it was really great to hear from the community out there that's a lot of the best money advice that they'd received from whether it be grandparents or mentors or mums or dads. Obviously, just wanted to get on the Facebook Live and share that with everyone else. But once again, just really big thanks to everyone that commented and gave us all their feedback, the messages that we received. Just absolutely love hearing from you guys. And of course, we're just so glad that this is a value to you guys. So I hope everyone found tonight's Facebook Live valuable as well. And of course, we got the weekend coming up. We're only a day away now. So hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks a lot, guys.